हुसैन के लाशे की नजर है पत्थर। अजीब हाल में है फातिमा के दोनों पिसर। इधर हसन का जनाजा फिर आया गलियों में। इधर हसन का जनाजा फिर आया गलियों में। सारे हुसैन फिर आया गया इधर दर। अजीब हाल में है फातिमा के दोनों पिसर। तड़प रहे हैं जनाजे कुछ और यूं अकबर। तड़प रहे हैं जनाजे कुछ और यूं अकबर के तीर खींच रही है बदन से खुद मादर। अजीब हाल में है फातिमा के दोनों पिसर। बिन्त अहमद वो बिन्त नबी हो गए बेपिदर फातिमा अपने बाबा की रहमत का लो पूरसा फजल अब्बास की है यही बस दुआ जो हो गए बेपिदर फातिमा चल बसे रसूल खुदा मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله في الأراضين حجة ابن الحسن العسكري عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف صلوات اللهم صل على محمد. قال الله تعالى في قرآن الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains to us at the surah of Baqarah, the surah of the cow, in the very first ayahs about the guidance of the Holy Quran. First of all, it starts off with letters, alif, lam, mim. We don't know what these letters mean. When I say we don't know, it is the ilm that is within the rasikhun, with the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam. With regards to these letters, we have no time to speak about in this time, in this lecture. The ayah afterwards says that this book has been brought down for the guidance of those who have taqwa, who obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first condition for the guidance to benefit the Holy Quran, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The first condition before salat, before zakat, for anyone that wants to benefit from the Holy Quran is the belief in the unseen. Mufassirin of the Holy Quran have discussed what al-ghaib means. Some of them have said that ghaib is to do with Imam al-Ghaib, our 12th Imam, Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif. Allahumma salli ala. Some have said ghaib is all of the unseen. So when we say, for example, Imam al-Ghaib, ghaib is to do with something that exists yet we cannot see. When we say we cannot see, it means that we cannot see with these physical eyes that we have. There are many ways of seeing. There are many levels of seeing. There is the seeing of the heart, the seeing of the soul, and there is the seeing of the eyes. The seeing of the heart and the seeing of the soul is much more powerful than the seeing of the eye. The eyes can make mistakes. Very briefly, I will explain the procedure of when we see something, how we comprehend it. So for example, you are looking at me right now, correct? What you see in front of you is a picture. Your brain processes this and it takes out whatever pictures that are remaining in your mind from previous interactions with people that look like me. Okay? Depending on what pictures you have there, you comprehend that this, for example, is a cleric, this is a scholar, whatever it may be. Yes? Also, depending on your interaction with those scholars or clerics, either you have a good view of me or a bad view straight away. Before you've heard me speak, before you know who I am. Automatically people have a vision, an understanding of what things are, before they understand them. That's how we work. So for example, if you've had a bad experience with, for example, Oriental people, automatically when you see an Oriental person, those thoughts may cross your mind. Not because it's specifically true about that particular person, but it's what's remaining in your mind. In any case, so the first thing that happens is that you take a picture with your eyes, then you put it into your brains to process with the previous pictures that are taken in the previous years or months or weeks before. And you put them together and you say, this is what I'm seeing. Okay? Every one of you has two eyes. Yet, every one of you will see a different picture of me and will have a different understanding of what I am, depending on what you've been taught previously and what pictures you've stored in your mind previously. A lot of times the mind and the eyes can make a mistake. So you think you're seeing something, but in reality it's something else. I'll give an example or two. If you've seen a propeller of an airplane or a helicopter go around very fast, when you look at it, it looks like it's moving very slowly. So your eye takes a picture, it processes it, it shows a very slow motion of a circle. In reality, it's going very fast. But the problem is that you cannot process, your eyes cannot take pictures so quickly, or cannot take a film so quickly of what's going on. Therefore, you see it different to what it actually is. Sometimes when you're driving on the road, you think you see water straight ahead. When you get there, there's nothing. It was just a reflection of light that you thought was water. So many times the eye actually makes a mistake. Your processing mechanism makes a mistake. Now I don't want to go through perception and reality and these things that we've talked about before. No. What I want to talk about is the seeing of the heart, al-ghaib. Your heart sees something that is far more powerful than the eyes. So for example, someone asked Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wa salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Do you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And Amir al-Mu'mineen said, I would not pray to a God that I could not see. I would not pray and be obedient to a God that I cannot see. But the seeing is of the heart, not the eyes. The seeing is of the true vision, not the one that makes many faults and mistakes. Now, the unseen is something that we can feel on a different level. When you sleep, for example, you see things, and it's connected to a reality, but on a different frequency of the reality when you're awake. When you see dead people, either in your sleep or other times, there is a frequency of the soul that is connecting to your soul. There is a seeing. So for example, you have one of your marhumin, you fall asleep and you see them. That is also seeing, that is a type of seeing, there is a connection. You see them, if they're happy, they're not happy, they're sad, they want something. There's a type of seeing. So seeing has different levels. The most lower level, or the lowest level, is the one with the eyes. there are far higher levels of seeing. A person who can see clearly is a person with the cleanest soul, with the cleanest heart. Why do I say the cleanest soul and the cleanest heart can see the best? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everyone in a way to be able to see reality. Now, nafs al-ammara, which is in the part of the soul, the ruh has a part called nafs. Nafs has intellect and has lust. Again, this is another discussion. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with ability to see. Nafs is one of those things that stops you to seeing. Why did they call it nafs al-ammara? Lawama. In Arabic, lawama means that something you go back and you wish you hadn't done. You regret doing. Because your nafs makes you do things that you regret, you wish you hadn't done. Shaitan also adds to this equation. Shaitan does this as well. It makes something seem sweet. It makes some things seem attractive to take you towards it. But what that does is it blurs your vision of being able to see correctly. So the more sins that you commit, the less you can see clearly. The cleaner your soul is, the better you can see. So right now I'm speaking to hundreds of people here. I'm guessing people are watching online. There is ladies watching, correct or not, and listening to me. Some of you are connecting to what I'm saying far more than others. Others are thinking already about what Shaitan wants them to think. Their daily routine. I wonder whether the shares have gone up or come down. I wonder whether my bank account is less or more. I wonder the TV series I would have watched in half an hour has been recorded or not. Whatever their daily routine may be. So even when it comes to trying to connect with reality, depending on what we've done previously, it affects it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you want to have guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Holy Quran, you must believe in the unseen. You must have the ability to see the unseen and believe the unseen. To see the unseen with your insides, not with your two eyes. The world that we live in as it exists is constantly bombarding us with coverings of the soul, layer after layer after layer. So there is a reality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put down for us. And then everything around us is trying to blur our vision of that reality to give us something else. When you look at social media today, when you go on the internet, be it Facebook or YouTube or internet pages or websites or whatever it may be, everyone wants you to believe a particular thing. Everyone wants to convince you of what they want, for them to benefit through your conviction. If you're convinced what they're selling you is the correct product and you buy into it, then you will do anything for that reality. But these are all perceptions of reality, they're not true reality. The more layers that are in front of us, the more difficult it becomes to see the real world. The real world is what? مَا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We did not create anything, human or jinn, apart from a way to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibadah is not just prayer, by the way. Ibadah is not just dua. Ibadah can be jihad. Ibadah can be smiling at a child. Ibadah can be sponsoring an orphan. Ibadah can be helping the one who needs help. Ibadah can be taking care of your own kids. Ibadah can be having good akhlaq at home. Ibadah can be educating the ummah. All these are ibadah. Ibadah is not just prayer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I've created you for this purpose, you and jinn. And Allah puts us and jinn into one category. Why? Because jinn, like the humans, have the ability to do good or bad. There are mu'mins in the jinn that pray and fast and do tagleed, Shia Ithna Ashari jinn, and there are jinn that do not. There are jinn that help us in our quests in life, and there are jinn that go against mu'mineen and benefit shaitan. There are jinn that will go into heaven in Yawm al-Qiyamah, and the jinn that will go into hell Yawm al-Qiyamah. Jinn can show itself and it can hide itself. It has different properties physically, but in this particular case, it's exactly the same as us. Which case? The case that both of us are able to do good and bad and are answerable Yawm al-Qiyamah, and Allah has created us for ibadah, for getting close to Him. So if the conclusion is to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then every step we take through our lives should be only for that purpose. Doesn't matter if you're 5 years old, 10 years old or 15 years old. The aim is the same. The aim is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you pray, you say 2 rakat prayer, Fajr, Qurbatan Allah. Have you thought what this means? Has anyone thought what this means? Qurbatan Allah, what does it mean? I challenge anyone to put their hand up and tell me what it means to say Qurbatan Allah ta'ala. Is it the case that we want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's what we're praying? Is it the case that we're praying because we know that if we don't pray, there is going to be punishment? Is it the case that we're praying because we want to go into heaven Yawm al-Qiyamah? Or is it none of those things? When we say Qurbatan Allah, it's because Allah created us and gave everything we have. We want to say thank you to Him because He is worthy of this thanks. Which one of these is Qurbatan Allah ta'ala? They are all Qurbatan Allah, but they're different levels. Every person has a different level of iman, different level of seeing, different level of conviction, different level of the truth. Different layers of hijab are in front of them. The less layers that are in front of you, the easier it is to move them by istighfar and ask to go to the next step. At the time that we live in this 21st century, it's one of the most difficult times, and it will only get more and more difficult until the reappearance of our 12th Imam. Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this book will guide those who believe in the unseen, just as everything on earth benefits from the sun, even though there are clouds in front of it, we can benefit from this 12th Imam even though we can't see him with our 2 eyes. Not seeing the 12th Imam does not stop us from reaping the rewards and the benefits. It is our deeds and the deeds of our ancestors that has caused this distance between us and Imam Zaman. But it's in our hands to change it. One of the things that I want to press on this evening is the ability of humans. In where we are today, in this part of the world, many people spend a lot of time talking about magic, for example, and taskhir al-jinn, being able to get jinn to do the work for them, and be able to do sihr. Sihr is magic. Yes? Why? It's because we don't see reality. Sihr is powerful, no doubt about it. Jinn, it has powers. Shaitan has powers. But no power is even close to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We take our hands away from the most powerful being, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we go towards something that has nothing, very little. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that if you see everybody going towards other people for help when they need it, if you're a mu'min, you go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. The jinn have been given very limited powers. Those people that use jinn, they have to use an army of them. They take so many jinns so they can do something so simple because their ability is limited. Sihr, for example, can be invalidated because it's limited in its powers. But the powers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unlimited. A mu'min can be more powerful than the malaika. The Holy Quran tells us this, and the Ahadith tells us this. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to Mi'raj, Adhan was recited, and then it was prayers. The Prophet said to Jibreel, go forward for me to pray behind you. Jibreel said, no. From the time that we were ordered to do sujood on Adam alayhi salam, we took one step behind Adam. Bani Adam became greater than us, more powerful than us, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Jibreel, Mikael, Israfil, all these powerful angels are saying that me and you have the ability to be greater than them, but there is one condition. There is one condition. You have to say no to shaitan. You have to say no to your nafs. It's not as easy as one may think. And you have to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone says we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the levels of belief are different. The levels of how much we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are different. Some people believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much, they never go to other humans for help. Anytime they have a problem, they go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Other people leave Allah to last resort. When they've given up on every single person, they go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we might as well now do a minna, another, and maybe Allah will give our hajat. But the first step is never Allah, it's the last step. A mu'min, his first and last point of call is that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, although we live in this society that has these difficulties in front of us, these challenges in front of us, and we've come over 1,000 years from the ghaibah of our 12th Imam, there are certain positive aspects as well. What are the negative aspects? I'll tell you some of the negative aspects. The Prophet sat down with the ashab, his sahaba. He began to tell them what Akhir al-Zaman will be like. So part of it is our time, me and your time. This is available in the books of Ahl Sunnah and Khasa. In our books, in our books, these hadith are available, you can search online. The Prophet ﷺ sat them down and began to tell them that there will come a time that the people of my ummah, I will repeat ummah a few times in this lecture because we're talking about the Prophet. The hadith say that Yawm al-Qiyamah everyone will say nafsi, nafsi, myself, myself. The father will forget the child, the mother will forget the child. Apart from the Prophet ﷺ, he will say ummati, ummati, ummati. The Prophet will seek the intercession of Shafa'ah and me and you. So as he was sitting down speaking to his companions, he said there will be a time when my ummah will not pray to me apart from the month of Ramadan. They will forget me. 11 months of the year, no ibadah, no Quran. Ramadan, 1 month, yes. The mosque becomes packed. Quran opens up after 11 months of catching dust over it. It opens up. We must recite the Quran. This is the Prophet over 1500 years ago saying this will happen today. لا يعبدون الله إلا في شهر رمضان. مساجدهم عامرة. Their mosques are beautiful. وقلوبهم خالي من الهدى. Their hearts are empty of guidance. قبلتهم. Their qibla is what? نسائهم. Women. They will face towards qibla physically. Their hearts will turn against qibla. So basically prayer will become an action of just sitting down and getting up, sitting down and getting up. There is no soul into prayer. There is no feeling into prayer because the heart is not taking part in this practice. It's a practice of just physical activity. It may as well be yoga or meditation of the body. There is no heart in there. What else? It says the old men shuyukhahum, the elders of the community, will stop doing amr bil ma'roof wa nahy anil munkar. If they see something wrong, they will not say that it's wrong, and they will not tell the community to change. They will stay quiet. The people will run away from the ulama, just as a sheep runs away from wolves. They're scared, they run away. From Iman, nothing will be left apart from the name Iman. From Islam, nothing will be left apart from the name of Islam. And it carries on. Until one of the companions says, Ya Rasulullah, هؤلاء هل يعبدون الأصنام? These people that you talk about, are they idol worshippers? Are they kuffar? Do they worship idols? And what does the Prophet say? He says, Na'am, yes. كل درهم لهم صنم. Each dirham, each bit of money for them is an idol. They worship money. Everything they want to find the result in money. They think their hajat will be given by money. They think the dunya and akhirah will be fulfilled by wealth. So they start praying for money. Their whole world will revolve around money. Think about this, huh? 1500 years ago, the Prophet is saying there will come time to my ummah, these things will happen. How many of them happened? It said at this time of Akhir al-Zaman, for a mu'min to be religious is the same as having a hot coal in his hand and holding it. How difficult is it if you have a burning coal in your hand? You want to drop it, no? That's how difficult it is to keep religious at this time. At the same time, the hadith say that Imam Zaman has the most help for these people. So if you have that thing that we talked about, which is belief in the unseen and belief in the 12th Imam, you can benefit from the 12th Imam. If we raise our children from a very early age with the level of Imam Zaman in their hearts, everywhere we go, every time we sit, we tell them, you know what, pray for Imam Zaman. Think about Imam Zaman. Ask him for your hajat. Ask him for whatever you need. If it's exams, if it's health, whatever it is, have a connection with him. Have a connection with the ghaib, so that you wash away shaitan, you wash away this nafs, you wash away the filth of dunya. If you don't wash away the filth of dunya, you become like animals. Look at the animals that live around you, be it animals in reality or be it animals that are kuffar. You look at the way they live. It's all about dunya. To accumulate wealth. It's all about nice houses, cars, eating, drinking, sleeping, having fun. Correct? A human is built for a far greater purpose. It is not about eating, sleeping, creating wealth and leaving. One, we are created to help other people. A mu'min constantly seeks to have opportunities to help the other person. Two, a mu'min wants to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because there are certain things you cannot find out by reading books. There are certain realities that Allah only puts in the heart of mu'mineen through ibadah. Through closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, certain layers removed in front of you. You see reality for what it is. But only by getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing you can gain by books. Certain ibadat that are mentioned, even in Mafatihul Janan, if you open it up, there are certain a'mal to do. You do them, you see certain things in the morning, fajr, before fajr. You smell certain things. Slowly you go up and up and up and up, and then reality opens up for you. Reality is not the reality of animals. Whoever has the biggest teeth wins. No. Reality is the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why allow ourselves to be like animals? Like Amir al-Mu'minin says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created animals and gave them lust. humans and gave them intellect. A human that allows his intellect to overcome his lust becomes greater than the angels. A person who allows his lust to overcome his intellect becomes worse than animals. We have the ability to become greater than the angels, more powerful than the angels. Why let ourselves become worse than animals? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the rails in place for us to follow. There are trials and tribulations in our lives. Every single person here has seen trials and tribulation in their lives, has seen difficulty in their lives, correct or not? The person who is closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see the most trials and tribulations. Hence, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Ma udhiya an-nabiyyu kama udhit." No prophet went through what I went through. I went through the most hardship because the Prophet has the most complete iman out of all the prophets. Anything that you can imagine came onto the Prophet. So for example, we think that the worst thing that can happen to a child is for him to become orphaned, to lose their father. The Prophet lost his father and mother. We think the worst thing that can happen to a person is they lose wealth. The Prophet had nothing. He gave everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even Khadija gave her wealth for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We think the worst thing that can happen is that we are excluded from our community. Khadija had to give birth with not a single lady present until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the ladies of heaven to come down. Outcasted for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are we willing to be outcasted for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Oh no, we are going to stay quiet for the sake of having an inclusion in the society that we live in. We see corruption, we see haram, we see wrong, we stay quiet. Why? Just in case they point at me and say, you know what, this person's a black sheep. Because we don't have that conviction. We don't have that belief in the unseen. If you have the belief in the unseen, that you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is behind you, before you know it, you'll be there with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only thing to fear is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we don't fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we fear the fellow man, it's because why? It's the lack of iman, it's the lack of clarity that we are willing to be included in groups of friends and displease our 12th Imam and displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet does not teach us this. Akhlaq, yes, have akhlaq with people. The best of akhlaq is the akhlaq of the Prophet. Does not mean that you commit any sins. The kuffar came to their children and said, when the Prophet goes by, throw stones at him. This is a lesson for me and you. Throw stones at the Prophet. So the children came and they gathered stones. As soon as they saw the Prophet walking by, they started throwing stones at him. And one of the stones hit the Prophet's head and began to bleed. The Prophet stood there. He said, oh my children, my children. If you enjoy throwing stones at me, I will stand here and you carry on. Look at akhlaq. If one of our children is loud, we raise our voice and say, shut up. We can't bear loudness of our own children, let alone other children of the kuffar throwing stones at our head, and we say, carry on if you think you're going to enjoy this. It's akhlaq, patience. Patience is a great virtue. So the Prophet teaches us this, that if you want to have success in dunya and akhirah, have belief in alam al-ghayb. Don't get attached to dunya. Don't get attached to something that you have to leave. Sooner or later you have to leave. Instead, look for something that is eternal, that will stay with you forever. That is the eternal truth. Every single one of us knows the only certainty in life is that we're going to leave it. The only certainty in life is death. Yet, how much work and effort and thought do we put in dunya, and how much work and effort and thought do we put in akhirah? If we're going to go to travel For a week or 10 days, we've packed so much packing and planning and so forth. We're going to go for eternity. We have nothing to take with us. What are we going to take with us? Our bank accounts? Our university degrees? We should teach our children true values, so that when we die, they give khairat for us. So when we die, they are shining light in our graves for us. Not we teach them that to make sure your bank balance has not become below this. We must teach them to seek the pleasure of our 12th Imam and no one else, and not to fear anybody in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the truth. That is the alam al-ghayb that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the whole Quran, and the Prophet teaches everyone. No one went through the masa'ib that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went through. His family went through tribulations that no one could possibly imagine. Instead of saying why, have you seen this? It's a new phenomenon. When people go through trials and tribulations, instead of saying Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah, you are testing me, one, to cleanse me of my sins in dunya rather than akhirah, and two, to get me closer to you. Instead they say, oh, why is Allah choosing me? Why have so many problems come to me? Allah is choosing you because you're loved. The more trials and tribulations you have, the closer you become to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't see your own life, look at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Ahlul Bayt. Look at the trials and tribulations they went through. You think Allah did not love Fatima al-Zahra, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam? In such a night, the night before this, the Prophet went to the house of Salama. Salama was one of the worthy wives of the Prophet. Mu'mina, mutadayyana, masha'Allah. One of the challenges a mu'min has is sometimes we are matched with people that are not mu'minas. Or a mu'mina is matched with a person who is not a mu'min. Sometimes the wife does not believe, sometimes the husband does not believe. These are tests of dunya. And if you want to see the true test, look at the test of the Ahlul Bayt. Look how many of them were killed by their wives. And yet they had patience. The Prophet at these days was in his sick bed. It was his last days of his life. How he was poisoned, by whom he was poisoned, inshallah is for another day. So the Prophet is poisoned, and he's leaving his last testament and wills to the closest around him in the house of Salama. He asked Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam to come next to him, and Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha to come next to him. And Jibreel comes down from the skies. The Prophet says, "O Jibreel, my request to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the shafa'ah of those sinners from my ummah." Jibreel says, "Whatever you wish, Allah has granted already. You shall have intercession of all your ummah yawm al-qiyamah." Oh people, before I begin the masa'ib, isn't it sad for a mu'min to go yawm al-qiyamah and the Prophet is overseeing the ummah, huh? Every one of us will have our 12th Imam, and on top of that, the Prophet seeing our foul. In itself, that's the biggest punishment. How embarrassing would it be for the Prophet to open our files, one by one, read what we've done. How many of us have these secrets, these things that we know, the mistakes that we've made? Let's make it right now so that it does not enter the file yawm al-qiyamah. Let's repent right now so that it does not enter the file in front of the Prophet ﷺ yawm al-qiyamah. We don't have to be embarrassed in front of him. These masa'ib, these tears are for that purpose. for the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that when we go Yawm al-Qiyamah, this file is clean, inshallah. So the Prophet ﷺ says, I want my shafa'ah for ummati. Jibreel says, you have it. The Prophet says to Ali and Fatima, salamullahi alayha, oh Ali, look at what Jibreel has brought down from the skies. Jibreel has brought down from the skies of news of what will happen to me after my death. Only a number of days will go by, and these people will not keep the respect of Fatima al-Zahra, salamullahi alayha. The house of Fatima al-Zahra will be disrespected, and this amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the amana of Rasulullah, the amana that has been given to you will be taken away from you. Fatima al-Zahra will be martyred in this way. When Jibreel tells the Prophet and the Prophet tells Ali alayhi salam, when we hear what happens to Fatima salamullah alayha, the hadith says that Amir al-Mu'mineen falls on his face onto the ground. He becomes unconscious because he cannot take the masa'ib of Fatima al-Zahra. On the night after this, a night like this, our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is taking his last breaths. He goes to the house of Fatima salamullah alayha. He puts his head onto the thigh of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He says, oh Ali, this is a bag of kafur. Kafur is to use for the ghusl of mayyit. Now this bag of kafur is brought down to me by Jibreel. Can we turn the lights off, please? Jibreel has brought down this bag of kafur from heavens. Now this bag is to be split into 4 parts, O Ali. One part of the kafur is for you to use when doing the ghusl al-mayyit on my body. Another quarter of this kafur will be used for you to do the ghusl of Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha after me. Another quarter of this kafur will be used to wash the body of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam by Imam al-Hasan. Oh Ali, the last quarter of the kafur will be used to wash the body of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. At this point, Fatima al-Zahra says, what about my son Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? What about the kafur to wash the body and the janazah of Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam? The Prophet asks Ali to bring Hassan and Hussein onto his chest. He kisses Hassan on the head, he kisses Hussein on the head, he says his goodbye to them, and there is a knock on the door. Fatima al-Zahra says, who is it? He says, I am a ghareeb and I want to come in. The Prophet says, oh Fatima, this is Israel Malik al-Maut. He has never asked permission to enter to any household apart from this household. This is the first and last time Malik al-Maut will seek permission. Ya Fatima, allow Malik al-Maut to come in. Malik al-Maut comes into the head of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Prophet tells Fatima and Ali, these are my last moments. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared heaven for me. Fatima al-Zahra begins to cry and hold the Prophet. Oh Father, how can you leave me? All of a sudden, the Prophet whispers something into the ear of Fatima. Fatima comes down. They said, what is it that you said to Fatima? Fatima salamullah alayha said that my father told me that I will be the first of Ahlul Bayt to join him to go to heaven, inshallah. At this point, Amir al-Mu'mineen tries to remove Hassan and Hussein from the chest of the Prophet. It is makruh to put something heavy on the chest of a mayyit. The Prophet says, no, please leave Hassan and Hussein on my chest. I will die easier with the head of Hassan and Hussein on my chest. Ayyuhan nas, O people, the Prophet had Hussein on his chest. The Prophet kissed the head of Hussein alayhi salam, and that day was the day of the wafat of Nabi, and then there was a day of Ashura in Karbala. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was not on the chest of the Prophet. Instead, Shamr was sitting on the chest of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the head of Hussein was not being kissed by the Prophet. Instead, in the castle of Yazid, Yazid had a stick and was hitting the head of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And in that case, on that day, there was a 6-year-old girl called Zainab al-Kubra next to the Prophet, and this girl was respected by Hassan and Hussein. On the day of the head of Hussein in the castle, she was made to stand alone in front of Yazid with a bunch of girls of Ahlul Bayt, with Ruqayya and Sukaina and Sajjad, salamullah alayha. Ya Allah, Fatima al-Zahra had to see this, had to see her grandchildren, had to see her children on the day of Karbala, the children of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, with not a single soul to protect them. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. We have shed tears for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam. Many people have asked for du'as, and we have gone over our time, so we'll make it very brief. Many people that have very difficult sicknesses, there are difficulties in their life, please recite this ayah with tawajjuh and tears in your eyes, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. And we'll finish with dua faraj. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Before we recite Fatiha, just two announcements. One, that there is a Quran competition by the Tabligh Committee for January 2020 for all those that want to take part in this noble cause of memorizing and reciting the Holy Quran. Please contact the Tabligh Committee. Also, the day after tomorrow, we shall have a Q&A session for anybody that wants to have their questions answered anonymously. They can give the written pieces of questions into the people in charge here, and inshallah, not tomorrow night, the day after, we shall answer those questions that you may have, inshallah. Rahamallahu man qara'a al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
आंखें खोल दी, कहा बेटी अभी तेरा बाप जिंदा है, तेरे आंखों में आंसू तेरा बाप नहीं देख सकता। उसे जी इजाजत दे तो वो अंदर आ जाए। पता है ये कौन है? बेटी ये मलकुल मौत है, ये इजराइल है जो किसी दरवाजे पर इजाजत